We have our opening address. I'd like to request Ramkumar Narayanan Chair, NASSCOM Product Council, Vice President Technology and Managing Director, VMWare, to set the context for the conclave and formally welcome this audience to NPC 2022.
Thank you. I can't say how much pleasure it gives me to see all of you here bright and early. How many of you here from Bangalore? I have to congratulate all of you for getting here on time. And welcome to everybody else who's been, flew in here or however else they made it here for the next 2 days. I want to join the entire NASSCOM team and all our volunteers to welcome you to the 19th edition of NASSCOM Product Conclave. This is probably my 15th or 16th, and this has always been a phenomenal thing that we look forward to every year. And we are also fortunate to have my past co-chairs here today, Ravi Gururaj, who's sitting up here, and Atul Batra, who's probably on his way, fighting his way through traffic. So just to set the context over the next couple of days, So as we were fighting through the COVID situation, the Indian product ecosystem continued its growth. Over the last 3 years, the ecosystem has grown from about $10 billion in revenue to $13 billion, roughly 10% CAGR. But what is more exciting is the acceleration that we are starting to see. And we project out to 2026, we think we'll be at about $30 billion in revenue. There are probably 3 factors that are driving this. One is the vibrant SaaS ecosystem from India, coupled with deep tech, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The increasing digitization and acceptance by large enterprises of solutions from smaller companies, and SaaS has got a big role to play there. And the third piece is increasing digitization of SMBs around the world, and all of this is global. And the theme for the conference, as we noted, is world-class from India, because we are ready, and our companies are ready to step onto the world stage in a material way. We are seeing acceptance. 60% of our revenues are coming from horizontal solutions in the space, and we are seeing increased digitization in the vertical spaces, and a lot of our product revenues are coming from that as well. 80% is being driven by 4 or 5 different verticals. As we look ahead, from a NASSCOM product perspective, the Product Council has been focused on 4 major areas, working along with the larger NASSCOM and the ecosystem. And we believe these are going to be the future drivers for $30 billion and beyond for the ecosystem. The first one is around product skills. As we double-clicked on the ecosystem and we work closely with a lot of companies, the biggest gap that we see, engineering, we have a lot of people. I mean, we graduate about 1 million engineers a year. So the dearth of engineers and talented engineers, is not there as much. But we do see there are gaps in product management, product marketing. I'm talking about world-class at every level. So we need to create a large ecosystem of people to surround these engineers with in order to do this. And product skills is an area that we are very focused on, and I'll talk about that a little further down. The second big area which we are really, very excited about is the advent of deep tech. And you'll hear this theme over the next couple of days around deep tech, what is happening in the deep tech ecosystem, how are the companies coming together, and how are they accelerating. And you'll see a number of them both in the room here at the stage, as well as if you get a chance to walk around the showcase, you'll see a number of these deep tech companies coming up, and you'll see how they're winning the market and the world, not just in India, but outside India. Now, the third big area that has been a recurring theme, and this is where I think the larger NASSCOM, the strength comes from, is policy management. And, as with any other area, the product ecosystem requires a lot of support from government and other policy stakeholders. And that's an area of focus for us in terms of enabling this for our companies out of the Indian ecosystem. And the last but not least is global access. And to support the companies in the broader setting, how do we actually enable them to win new market share, win in new markets, and take it forward? And these are the 4 areas that we are focused on, and we believe these are the 4 areas that we need to really kind of get right in order to accelerate the ecosystem in a material way. Now, I'll talk a little bit about the 2 areas that I'll deep dive on that I touched upon, product skills as well as Deep Tech Club. On the product skills front, our vision is to enable about 50,000 product managers, not just entry level. We have a number of people in this conference, I'm sure many of you in this room are practicing product managers. But it is really about filling out the pyramid. We need people at every level. It's not just the entry level or the mid levels, where we see a lot of people today in the ecosystem. But we need to be able to fill up the entire gap all the way from creating world-class chief product officers, VPs of product management who are winning the market at a global level and be able to do that. And in order to get there, we have a very, very strong set of practitioners who have come together to put together the strategy and an execution plan. And we are making, in the last 2 years, we've made for quite a bit of strides. In partnership with Future Skills Prime, we launched the PM 101 certification program. We've had about 9,000 people who have registered and 800 people who have completed the certification. So certification is only the first step. The next piece is how do we help them connect to real-world problems and through mentors and surround them with mentorship. And we are very focused on the aspect of making sure that we are growing this. We have a community that we are building around product management, and we have about 2,100 people who are registered today on our Slack channels and active, and not just in terms of learning, but also in connecting them to jobs and opportunities that we are doing. The second big area that I talked about is Deep Tech and Deep Tech Club. We launched the Deep Tech Club in 2017 with a vision of enabling 1,000 deep tech startups out of India. At that time, it was still very nascent. And our ingestion class, we have had about 6 or 7 cohorts at this point in time of the Deep Tech Club, and we have learned a lot in that process. And today we have, and I'm proud to say that we have over 250 deep tech companies in our cohort under the Deep Tech Club, out of the 3,000 plus deep tech companies that exist in India. So we have a good pulse in terms of what is happening in the space and how are things trending. Our vision continues to be 1,000, but I think we are starting to think about, is 1,000 good enough? Are we going to really hit up a lot more? And what do we need to do to make this happen? We realize that just creating companies is not good enough. We need to be able to surround them with the right kind of mentorship. We need to be able to connect them to the right platforms. We need to be able to bring them onto the world stage and help them grow. And I'm happy to report that even in this time frame that we've been on this journey, we have had some very good success in terms of money raised by these companies, which is a good proxy for recognition. We have had several M&A deals, and we are starting to actually connect them to other areas. So just as a case in point, last week at GITEX in Dubai, we had about 32 companies, deep tech companies, on the world stage. And they are also learning what it takes to be a world class from India. Because it's easy to say, but it is also very difficult to actually understand, internalize, and then execute towards that. But we are fully confident that we have a fantastic set of founders in this country who learn very fast, and given the right opportunity and exposure, will actually be able to do a lot more. But last but not least, the area that we're really, really excited about is the fact that our founders from the earlier cohorts are stepping in. They are becoming volunteers. They are helping those who are following in their footsteps actually get better, learn from them. And I think that, to me, is a sign of an extremely vibrant and healthy ecosystem that is coming together around deep tech. Before I forget, diversity and inclusion is not just for organizations. It is also for the ecosystem. And as we started looking at where are we at as a product ecosystem around diversity and inclusion, we see a lot of work happening in individual organizations. It's a documented fact that organizations which are diverse actually do better than the cohorts which are not. And that is probably true for the ecosystem as well. To that end, we are very proud to have launched 2 programs this past year, one around NASSCOM Women Product Champions. And the goal behind that is to actually create a world-class set of women in the product community who can take on leadership roles and who'll actually be able to then help the rest of the ecosystem become better. And we had a launch in September, very, very vibrant launch. And I'm proud to say that I was the token male speaker there. And that would not have happened. In my past experiences, we would have these sessions, and it'll be a bunch of men sitting on the stage and lecturing. And I think I was very proud to say that we had some really strong senior product leaders stepping in who want to be mentors. I see Shalini sitting here, who leads the entire product skills effort. And a big kudos to all of them, the fact that they're coming together around this. And we are all allies to support it and make sure that this becomes a success. The second area is, as we looked at our deep tech cohorts, we realized that the number of founders and co-founders in deep tech who are women is actually relatively low. In the 250 plus companies that we have, that number is 2.5%, which I think everybody in this room and beyond will agree that is woefully inadequate. And this is a second big area of focus for us, is how do we discover, support, and encourage a lot more of our women founders and co-founders in the deep tech space as we look ahead. And I don't know where that number will land, but I think 2.5% is certainly not enough. And even if we double that, it's probably not enough. So I think we need to be in proportionate to the rest of the ecosystem in terms of where we are at. And I request all of you to support these kinds of initiatives, whether within your organizations, and step out of it to help us grow this at the ecosystem level. I want to welcome again all of you to the 19th edition of NASSCOM Product Conclave. We're expecting over 2,000 people here over the next 2 days. More than the numbers, that's a vanity metric, as product people say. The reality of this is the fact that NPC will be attended by people from all kinds of experiences, all kinds of functions, all kinds of various areas of focus. Over these years, we've had over 150,000 delegates who have participated in NASSCOM Product Conclave. And I have to say, more than the sessions that I've had on the stage over all these years that I've attended, the networking, the connections made here have stood by, over these years. And that's, again, something that I look forward to, and I'd encourage all of you to make use of that in going around. I would encourage all of you to step out and see all of our startups in the pavilion. We have over 170 startups who are showcasing the phenomenal work that they're doing over the next 2 days. We'll have over 100 speakers, more than 50+ deep dive sessions, roundtables, panel discussions, etc. The last 2 years have been very vibrant. Even though we were virtual, we have had 12,000+ delegates the last 2 years, joining us from 43 different countries. Now, the in-person session, obviously, we are not able to touch that large an audience, but over time we will, because all of these will be recorded and available on YouTube, which we will advertise, or we will make sure that it is available to everybody in a very broad way. But we also learned from that. And this year, we had a hybrid conference. We had an extremely vibrant 4 different summits that happened on the 14th last week, and then followed up by the 2 days of conference. Of course, we looked to the ecosystem here to actually help us put this together, and I had a huge, massive thanks to the people who have helped put this together for this year. It's no different. It is by the ecosystem, for the ecosystem, and many of you here in the room are also volunteers, and in our community of over 1,000+, industry people and all kinds of people who have come together to create the Indian product ecosystem and the NASSCOM communities. Thank you, and on behalf of the entire team, I welcome you again, and have a great conference.
Thank you, Ram, for setting the context for the conclave and for that opening address.